Hey guys, this is AwesomeJohn22 coming today with another review, and today we are taking a look at two more figures from the Combiner Wars Menasor set, the Deluxe Class Breakdown and Dead End. And I keep calling these guys a set. They're not actually a set, you do have to buy them separately, but they do come together to make an entire figure, so I'm going to keep calling them that. No apologies. These guys are pretty cool. They're not my favorite figures from the line, and I'm kind of upset that they're reusing a couple of these guys down the line for other molds, at least. That's how the rumor goes, but we will get to that as we go. As you know, I do not start these reviews in robot mode. I start them in vehicle mode, so let's go ahead and get them transformed up. And here we have Breakdown and Dead End in their vehicle modes, and I'm going to go right into Breakdown here and show you. I actually have his weapon in his vehicle mode, and this is how I prefer to display his vehicle mode, because it actually, if you look here, it has an engine molded into it, his foot weapon. And it does attach via a peg right here on the back and a couple of grooves up here on the top. You can see these posts and these grooves just kind of slot together, and then this attaches here. And what that does is it emulates a feature of the old G1 toy, and I think it looks quite good. In fact, this is probably the first time that there's been a car former with vehicle mode weapon storage that I've actually liked. I'm really surprised by it. Overall, this is a really cool looking figure. I like this one significantly better than Dead End, though for very specific reasons that I'll get to later. You can see he's got a lot of paint, a lot of blue paint along the edge, a lot of silver paint here, a lot of red paint on the front, silver paint on the headlights, and silver paint here above this black paint. I believe this is black paint, though now that I look at it, it may be that this is black with white paint on it. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, a lot of paint on this guy. Very nifty. Nothing on the back end, of course. The back end doesn't quite want to stay together all the way. Overall, though, very cool looking figure. Screams Breakdown. If you know anything of the G1 character, this is most definitely him. Having a little bit of trouble with... There we go, that's better. I was having trouble getting this piece to lay flat, and it's because I forgot to peg something in down there. Anyway, he rolls just fine once you get everything pegged together correctly, and I will show that off more once we get to the transformation. Dead End, I love the look of Dead End, and that's kind of what Dead End comes down to in every one of his modes. I like the look of it a lot, but this guy is very unstable. His back end just comes apart at the slightest touch. It's only being held together here by the arms, which are on the sides of the vehicle, stuck inside here, holding it into place. If not for them, it would just come apart. Otherwise, he looks great. He's got some really great dark swirls through this metallic maroonish red plastic that makes up the entirety of his body. Some silver over here, some unpaintable plastic rather, which is kind of annoying, which means it breaks up this decal on the side. But otherwise, he's got this really cool metallic-y, dark gray silver headlights, this gold stripe from the front to the back. Nothing on the back, of course. Silver rims. Just about as much paint as on Breakdown. In fact, they're very similar cars. When you really look at them, you can see that the engineering of these guys are very similar. But of course they are. These are both limbs, and at least on my figure, these are the legs, or the feet of Menasor. I guess the lower legs and feet of Menasor. So I kind of like that their engineering is very similar. There's weapon storage. Oops, dropped that. Weapon storage on Dead End as well. You can plug this into the top, but it doesn't stay very well, and it looks stupid. He gets kind of a laser gun, which is kind of cool to show that off real quick. I don't know what kind of gun that's supposed to be, but this is clearly some kind of laser gun, and I like the look of it. Again, I like the look. The engineering is kind of meh. He also gets this pipe, which can attach to the side and looks like an exhaust pipe. It just sticks out too far for my taste, so I typically leave it off. Otherwise, pretty cool. It would be really cool if you could take this and, like, I don't know, attach it somewhere underneath, and it would look like a real exhaust pipe. but overall, pretty nice. Let's go ahead and start the transformation off with this guy. First, we're going to come underneath here and fold these up, put him into flight mode, which is kind of a fan thing I did, because it looks like VTOL engines now. Sorry to nerd out there for a second. But yeah, put him into flight mode, then straighten out his legs, like so, on these little accordion joints, which brings his kneecaps up into position. Next, we're going to take his arms and just bring them out a little bit so that we can rotate his waist around, and then just close up his legs, and they will just kind of snap into position like so. Kind of fold his arms a little bit, bring this chest piece down, come around to the back, and bring this down like so, and then accordion the front of his car down onto his back, and there you have Dead End in his robot mode. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into the transformation breakdown to show off how similar they are. First, we're just going to take that off like so. Go ahead and do this first because I almost forgot it on the other one. Detach this, lower it down, then come here and separate this, which allows you to accordion the legs down, and just bring them down as far as they'll go. And they can peg together, of course, because it's got combined mode stuff going for it. Separate them, and then bring these hip joints up and kind of line them up with each other. Bring his toes down, and then bring his spoiler down as his heels. Kind of bring these down, but don't worry about them too much yet. Because first what we're going to do is take all of this, bring this flush with the back, and this is kind of tricky. We're going to bring all this down, and what we're going to do, if I can remember how this goes exactly, bring this back on this joint as far as it'll go, like that. Then bring these up so that this little section here slides in over this joint. That's the tricky part, and that holds it all together. Then you can bring his arms down like so, straighten him up, and you can see some pretty significant differences from one to the other. But overall, the transformation, the engineering is fairly similar. The only difference is, and this is why I like Breakdown better, another reason why I like Breakdown better anyway, looking at Dead End here, we have elbow joints, but they're like these broken looking transformation joints. We have rotation here, but it's at an angle, and it makes the arm look like it's coming apart. The head sculpt is just fantastic. It looks great. He does have a full ball joint that is fairly limited by how close it is to the base. Full range of motion in pretty much everything, including a waist rotation that we saw earlier during transformation. The issue I have, though, his legs are really loose. I mean, look at that. It's just, I'm barely touching them and they're falling back down. In addition to these, here you can see it better now, it just doesn't stay together at all. These joints back here, or these pegs back here, kind of hold it together, but it just wants to pop apart, and that's not good for the arm mode, which we will take a look at in a second, and why I initially wanted him to be a leg rather than an arm for my combiner. Then I actually put him as a leg next to Breakdown and really liked it, but that's beside the point. Cool looking. Oh, forgot to bring his hands out. His hands do come out on these ratcheted joints, like so, and they have these little raised portions so you can get your nail underneath there and pull them out. Of course, rotates the leg. I don't know if I showed that off. But he looks great. I mean, just look at him. He's got these really cool orangey gold bits that pop out and accentuate everything. His silver is, or his gray is kind of silvery with some metallic flakes in there. I really love all the detail going on in his chest. It just looks great. A topographed Autobot symbol, or Decepticon symbol rather. I keep doing that. I mean, he looks good, and he has a lot of attitude towards him, but I mean, those aren't elbows. Those are ugly. It's just, there are issues with the engineering of this figure that make me just not like him as much as I think I would. There's also the issue that I don't know if this peg is just smaller than some of the ones on some of the other foot weapons, but I mean, it just comes right out. It doesn't stay at all. It just, I mean, look at it flopping around like that. It's just terrible. I mean, you could get it in there if you, like, have him standing and you just rest it there. But, I mean, look at that. It shouldn't do that. So I prefer not to display him with that and just display him with his weapon, which is just an exhaust pipe. There's no blade. There's no gun. It's just an exhaust pipe, and that's just so dead end that I actually forgive the fact that he doesn't have another functional weapon. It just works so well. Breakdown, we have a less flashy color scheme with the white and the dark blue and the silver. It's not this deep red. His arms are kind of thin, but I kind of dig it. He's got a great head sculpt as well. Almost an Autobot-ish head sculpt. I always thought this guy looked more like an Autobot than a Decepticon. But he is a Decepticon, you can see. If it'll focus, come on. Tiny little topographed Decepticon symbol. Almost as small as the Decepticon symbol on Blackjack, which we will be taking a look at in a couple reviews. Very, very small. About the same size as the one on Dead End, though. I just noticed it more because it's next to this big vent-looking thing. It makes it seem smaller. Some great molded detail in the legs that is not picked out with paint at all, and that's kind of unfortunate. Same thing goes for the arms. In terms of the arms, he does have, of course, the full range of articulation that is standard in figures nowadays. Including kind of this, I guess these are so that the legs can come together in arm mode, which we will take a look at in a minute. These kind of rotate down. And of course his waist does turn for arm mode. And overall I really love the look of this guy. Not quite as much as Dead End, but the engineering on him is so much better. It makes him, in my opinion, a better figure. Though they do look really nice together. There's no denying that Dead End looks good and Breakdown looks, I mean, almost as good, and they look good together. In terms of Breakdown, he can hold his foot gun very well. It stays in his hand, and his arm is more than strong enough to hold it. His other weapon's a gun blade. I mean, it's got a gun, it's got a blade, it's a gun blade, and I kind of have him hold it like this, so he can use it as a sword, and then if he wants to shoot it, he'll just bring it down to his side and blam, you know, kind of my own little headcanon for how he holds his weapon. And I like it a lot. It makes him look dangerous and effective. And there's talk that this guy is going to be Sideswipe and or Sunstreaker later on down the line. And I really hope that's true, because that would be great if that's true. I would just eat that up. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at these guys in their combined modes. I'm going to skip transformation into the arms, because honestly it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, let's go ahead, Breakdown first. I mean, yeah, there he is. Just bring out the connection port. And he looks good, I guess. It's a nice looking arm, and it's got this kind of extra joint here at the hips. And it, of course, bends, and it's really sturdy. I mean, there's a lot. It can hold a lot of weight, you would imagine. And, of course, the peg in the hand does work. But I just don't like it. It looks short and stubby, and I don't like how much is hanging off the side here. I mean, I understand there's a lot hanging off the sides on the other, hanging off the shoulders on the other arms as well, but for whatever reason, this just doesn't look good to me. Maybe it's this windshield hanging out slightly further than the rest of the kibble, but it just looks bad to me. So yeah, take that to the side. Move on to Dead End. And here we have him mostly transformed, because I want to show something off. Their solution to giving him a port for connecting the foot piece / hand piece, since this surface here is literally his feet, which I hate, by the way, was to give him this thing, which you slide out slightly, rotate around, and put in like that, and then you press this together and holds it in place. And this just doesn't want to stay. I mean, it's not going to do it behind camera now that I'm trying to show it off. But oh, there we go. Just bending this, just moving this, makes these two halves want to come apart. And then this can come off completely, like so. It does not want to stay on there. It doesn't help that I drop it every 2 freaking seconds. But this is why I don't like him as an arm. And we'll see this better in foot mode later, that this whole thing just holds together so much better in foot mode. But of course, at its basest level, it does work as an arm. It just as effectively as any other figure. We do have the hand that plugs in. It does have the kibble, and I think the kibble certainly looks a lot more interesting than this guy than on Breakdown. But yeah, otherwise I just don't like the look of this. And there's other things you can do with the arms. This is just what I like best. The robot arms. I like to put them up here like so. And there's other things you can do with them. I just like this best. It still doesn't help me like this mode at all. So let's go ahead and turn him into a foot then. Let's, I think I'm doing this right, yeah. Take these, unfold them, rotate this up, and then bring this down and rotate it back around into its original position. Bring this around like so into the position it would be in vehicle mode. Close that up. I'm going to take his arms and rotate them into position and just take them and accordion them down into the legs like so. This is kind of a bonus because it's almost a reverse transformation, which is something I don't do. And that's pretty much it. You fold that up and you turn this into a foot and plug it in, and this just, I mean, it still comes apart if you pull hard, but it doesn't come apart as easily because the same aspects of the design that hold it in place better in vehicle mode are now present to hold it together better in foot mode. So there's his foot, and as for this thing, I just typically plug it into the side there, but there's his foot mode. There you go. Breakdown's about as easy to transform. We just take this and take these, accordion them back up into vehicle mode position like so. Take these, peg them in, bring up the connector port, and turn this into a foot, plug it in, and there you go. There's his feet, and I like them. They have the same kibble on the front. Oh, this, just take it and attach it to the back for storage. It looks pretty good. They have the same kibble. They have the same basic look with the back end of the car making up the lower part of the foot. I just think these look so much better than the arm modes, in my opinion, that I don't really feel like there's any contest. And that's pretty much it for this review. I certainly hope you enjoyed it, because I enjoyed making it. Either way, though, please help me out, like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you feel so inclined. In the description down below, you'll find links to all the other things I'm working on, including a link to my updated collections video. If it's not updated yet, it will be very shortly, at some point either today or tomorrow. Please check that out, and if you see anything in it that you'd like me to review, let me know and I will see what I can do. This has been Awesome John 22, and I will talk to you guys later.